encouraging you to encourage your clients to tune in and listen to their bodies, listen to those niggles, see what's going on, and help them become empowered. So in Pilates, one of the key principles is around awareness. And actually in personal training it's the same thing. So listen to your body, feel where it's changing, and if you're and then work around that area. So if it's a weakness, let's see how we can stabilize it or flex it, move it, mobilize it. But it is about listening and becoming intuitive. This is the other thing that has come up with a lot of our work at the moment. I'm encouraging you to encourage your people to be okay doing their own thing in the session. So not be afraid to go, I can't do that, so I'm going to do this, and be okay with that. It's a thing that I've witnessed attending classes in my own personal rehabilitation, that to stand in your own power and to do your own movement that's appropriate for your body is the best thing for you. And it's a real message from instructors to pass that on to your people. It's not something, so any fitness, it is good to do the task, but remember, Pilability is about the person and getting into the heart of the person rather than just delivering a task. So if you've got somebody who is struggling with pain or prolapse or discomfort, or they've lost maybe range of movement, then it's okay for them to do that and celebrate that they are doing something in their own power, okay? Today we're going to start with breath, but normally we would start lying down. I want to have a look at how that feels just to sit, just for a moment. So again, we start with that belly breath and we think about just the tension of life. We think about you've got here and you just need to give yourself a few moments. So this is how we center ourselves and ground ourselves and think about us for a minute. So we breathe in through the nostrils where possible. Nostril breathing is really important because it helps us to trigger into the diaphragm. It helps when we're breathing, we lift up through the clavicle, we lift up through the ribs, but really force that breath down into the belly and be okay with that, because we're constantly teaching people to suck in. But first we just need to get the hormones to resettle and get that balance in the body. Can't see any of those. Yeah, that'd be great, thank you. Okay, and then from there, I just want you just to take your feet out to one side for a second. Can't see any of it. And then to the other side. So we're going to do some new movements. This is moving just around your hip and your bottom, sweeping the legs behind you for a moment and start to roll into the movement. Okay, we're going to do this a few more times. Just sweeping your legs around, waking up the hip bones. Lovely. Bringing your feet together, taking your hands behind you, sink, rise, lift into the chest and sink again. Rise, lift into the chest, take your knees to one direction. Lift up and over, over. Lift up. So it's that conversation with the pelvis, that connection from your trunk to your hips, powerful connection. Waking up the hips, take your feet slightly wider and let's repeat that. Lovely. Okay, so this is now moving into seated. Adjust through your bottom, lift long and tall, and then I want you just to take a roll forward, C shape. Come up nice and high, arms nice and long, to nice, I say nice a lot. Round, up. When we're creating this round shape, we're keeping into the hip and back, belly into backbone, eye gaze towards your belly button. So we're not coming forward yet. This is just creating that C shape, that lovely bit of flexion into the spine. If it's too much with the arms, take the arms out of play. We're going to do that a few more times, but maybe add in a little bit of extension. So we're opening the chest and rolling forward. And we're going to make this bigger. So remember, this is messy movement for midlife. Now we're going to add in a change. So it's a fold, rise, flat foot, knee bend, twist over shoulder, round, knee bend. Work with me. Each time you do this, let's make this bigger. Because that knee bend, the foot is going to start to come away from the ground. And this is part of the first element, mobilizing the body. So we're getting some movement into the joints. We're starting to wake up the core as well. This will progress in time to a leg lift. So we're here and fold. Leg lift and fold. So that's your progression. Not everyone can do that, and they will feel restricted into the hip. Okay? Last time. Feet wide, knee drop and sweep your arm around you. So here we are, knee drop, sweep your arm around you. Why? Because this is the type of movement where we start to think about lifting and rising. As always, there's a strong focus with getting on and off the floor and being comfortable with the body, moving and making things bigger. How does that feel? You like that? How big can you make it? So as you progress this movement, you can see where we're going with it, right? You can see how you can evolve the movement as you play with this. Well done. Okay, give yourself a moment. Oh, lovely. Can I just watch you for a couple of seconds? You look great. Beautiful. Last time round, but this time we're going to come right the way up and over. Draw your leg furthest, the leg that's furthest away from me. So it's an evolution of pigeon pose, if you like. Back leg forward. Now let's just have a look at this. Looking at the range of the movement in the knee joint. Not everyone can bring their foot in line with the edge of the mat, the short edge of the mat. So for a moment, just roll side to side. And then pop the leg out, okay? So working on the hip, keep moving through every single movement and every flow. One more time, staying on top of the movement. Rest your chest to the thigh, relax your hands for a moment, curl the toe under your heel, lift the knee, stretch forward, put your head down onto your mat. Okay, let's add into this. Take the arms in front of you. So you're lifted at your hip. Now settle down. So relax and let it go and see if you can feel that stretch in the hip and the glutes. Back knee is off the floor. Okay. Knee comes down, hands in line with your front knee, push up, eye gaze to ceiling. Okay, while we're here, that front arm reaches up and feel that stretch. So this is psoas connection. So this is the trunk to lower limb function and connection. Just a nice little stretch there, hand down, bottom onto floor. Switch your legs around and let's repeat that flow on the other side. So again, what I'm looking for is that range, because so many people will say, I can't squat. Range of movement in the knee, reduced range. So I need to see the pressure around the knee and the reduced angle. So here we're using own body weight, back leg nice and long and stretched. When we come down onto our hip, let's just see if we can bring that ankle forward and just feel, how does that move? Is there restriction? Is there restriction in the hip and the glutes? Is there restriction around the knee? Now, to remind you while you're working through that prep, the knee joint, its primary action is to flex extend, but also there's slight lateral movement around the knee joint, and that is really important. So here, when we're coming into pigeon, we're thinking about the range of movement in the knee joint. What's the knee to hip connection here? Right the way up and over, stretching out with your upper body, curl toe under back foot, press the ground away, lift the knee, forehead to mat. Enjoy how that feels in the hip. And again, I want you to feel tension, almost lift up the bottom as you pop your forehead down on the mat, and then let it go. Let's see if we can just stretch it out and see if you can settle your body weight and use your own body weight to increase the stretch through the glutes. And enjoy that. Okay, hands at front knee height, push ground away, arm closest to me, stretch. And again, there's that psoas connection, thigh into pelvis, lovely little stretch there. Well done. Okay, so coming onto our knees. Again, it's the knee thing, right? There is a point when so many of your clients will go, can't do that, can't do knees. Kneeling isn't comfortable. There's always a little practice, curling toes under heels and sitting back. Feet flat on the floor. Rise up, curl toes under heels, lean back. Set it as just a little project on their own, and they will see results, because midlife, this is when we're seeing that depreciation of fluid between the joints. We're starting to look at arthritic feet. And remember, this is about niggles before nasties. Okay, so leg furthest away from me, lunge forward. Okay, so I'm looking at range of movement. We're leaning forward and back, arms forward, and then we come out. Lovely. If you can, let's take that arm overhead. Now remember our clients, remember the customer. We're dealing with shoulder issues, opening up through the chest. Last time, other side, good job. Okay, strike, big space between front foot, back knee. Start with that movement forward and backwards. See how you feel. Then we reach and pull back. It feels like a bow movement, but this time go up and over. So when we did pile of one, there was that movement on the floor, sunshine arms, right? So we're looking at that lovely rotation through the shoulder, or circumduction through the shoulder, and the twist. So we're getting that trunk action going in here. Oh, I felt like I was doing an air guitar then for a minute. Lovely. Okay, so curl toes, long, strong through spine. We're going to roll down. So in Pilates, we would do this in a standing position. I'm not looking for that yet. What I'm looking for is a roll down, feel the stretch through the quads, but we're going to bring in the arms. We're sending them backwards. So we come up, here, neutral, extend or hyperextension is fine. Chin to chest, send the arms right the way back, draw in the belly. Roll up, lean back, roll down, chin to chest, arms lift. Let's do this a few more times. Lovely. Last time. Leg furthest away from you, we step forward and lean. Switch. 2 more. This time, curl back toe, start to lift. Feel that pressure through the rise. So curl in the back toe, lift knee. Take it back. How's that feel? Well done. Okay, this time, rise to stand, pump your heels at the top of the movement. And here we are, we're coming into our standing strong section. Okay, so it will feel a bit like a flow, a warrior thing. So essentially, we're doing 4 movements. So if you watch me the first time round, settle, 2, 3, 4. Rise, other direction, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, but this time we're going to make it bigger, okay? Think about depth of movement, alignment of movement, 1, 2, feel what's going on with the ribs, long through the neck, fold. Now, you keep going, I'm just going to talk to camera a second. Recently, and it is a thing that I struggle with in my own menopause, is vertigo. So when we put this flow together, I was conscious of moving position from being upright to being upside down inverted. I think this is a skill that we can't neglect, something that we have to continue practicing. So, and I think this is really important to us because this is that fear thing. You know, I talk about fear and confidence. So many of us, as we get older, suddenly we go, oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to like that. So let's keep practicing it. Lovely. Step together. And you may have seen this in Pilates or yoga. All I need you to do is to bend through the knees, drop your bottom backwards, come forward onto the toes. Rise up and heels down. So we sink. Let's just focus on the alignment. Remember, this is person-centered rather than task-orientated. So when we do this, it might be that you feel more comfortable with a block or ball between your knees. The important thing with the movement is that you take time with that balance. On the up phase, clench your booty. So I need some little bit of buttock clenching as we do that. Lovely. This is important. So remember what I said about ankles. You keep going. So front shin, coming forward into that balance from an aging point of view, tibialis anterior, so the muscles on the front of the shin can weaken because we walk not as well, a bit shuffly as we get older. So coming in here, lifting the heels, toe balance, you're strengthening ant-tib, front shin. Why that's important? That's about lifting the foot and not being a trip hazard to yourself because you're dropping your feet. You're actually strengthening through the front of the shin. Well done. Give yourself a moment. We're going to migrate across to the wall. Okay, so squats are always a thing. And we talk about squats from getting off loose beds and chairs for the rest of your active life. Okay, so as we set up this movement, the first thing I want you to think about are toes wide. So it's like a almost sumo squat. So, and I can assure you that a lot of your clients will not have that range in the shins. So when we think about a weightlifting squat, what we're looking for is butt out, hips down, knees wide. And it's the knees that have got to put in the effort. So we're going to switch cameras. Owen, are you with me? So we're going to think about sliding down the wall. So that's your guide. Dropping into that plie and really working into the outside edges of the foot. So that's your first bit. Keeping your nose close to the wall. This might feel a bit weird for some of your clients, so they might need to step back a little. Okay, then we progress that. Arms wide. Pop your hands up and try and maintain the same movement. Sliding your butt downwards as low as you can and using your knee power and your hip power to get back up. Slide, 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 rise, rise, rise. You can have fun with this and start to think about variations of this movement. It might mean left hand on wall, right arm back away from wall. So as you slide down, again, we're working unilaterally, sorry, but also just really firing up the posterior chain here. Lovely. Last time, and then we use the hands on the wall, hands about hip height, step back, step back, step back. Okay, long, go long in the spine, go straight in the knees, just keep wiggle jiggling left to right. Enjoy how that stretch feels in the hamstring. And again, settle. Can we take the hands a little lower? Can we drop our chest a little lower? Okay. When you're ready, walk your feet closer, leave your hands where they are, bring your knees to the floor. Okay, so from here, you're restricted. I am sweating, proper sweating. You're restricted in your movement because you're kneeling, shorter lever. So I want you to see if you can bring your toe. So do we need to change cameras again? I think we might need to. Slide your toe in and back. See that? So the idea here is that we're using our abdominals to really draw the knee in, rounding up through the back. Okay, other side, here we go. So really pull it in, using your core muscles. Lovely. Leg one. Let's go back to the first one. Here's the change. We're going to draw a circle, 360 in one direction and then the other direction. Lovely. Now it's important here to cock the leg. Done that. Lovely, switch sides. Okay, give yourself a moment. And you know what, circumduction. So to remind you, the hip joint has the same functions as the shoulder joint. It's really important to get those circles into the hips and into the shoulders. Don't let that stop as we get older. Oh, sorry, don't let that stop as we get older, okay? Right, so from here we're rising up again and we're gonna have a look at how we perform our curtsy squats, because again this is around the knee joint and that's the thing that I'm concerned with from an aging perspective. Okay, so slowly and under control. I'm looking for a slow and gentle, so watch, there's a balance, a cross, and then a sink, rise, balance to step forward. So I don't want you just to think about just getting to that end point here. It's the journey of this movement. So there's a balance, cross behind, lower, Now there might be a tipping point here that you cannot go to, or you can go right the way through towards the ground and rise through this. Balance, foot down, switch again. So balance, foot behind, sink as low as you can go, rise, balance. So it's, remember what I talked about in training, it's the backward chaining, where we take a movement and we break it down into component parts. You can do that with this movement. So it might mean that your people just need to work on the balance bit for now. Lovely. Okay. Okay. Happy? I just need a thumbs up. Good, 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 good. Okay. So we're coming back down onto all fours. Now remember what I said. Pilability is not around flow necessarily. It's about that messy movement. So up and down, up and down, up and down is really, really important here. So we're coming down onto the ground. We're coming into a 4-point kneel-in position. And then I want you to think about sitting back, coming forward, going to one side and then the other. Okay, so what happens here, north, south, east, west, we're starting to play with wrist flexion and then wrist extension. When you settle back, press your fingertips into the ground. When you come forward, lay your fingers out to the outside edges, out to the side and outside edges. Come back and then come forward. Okay, now let's do a circle. Right the way around the outside edges of the body and back again. Make that as big as possible and give yourself a moment. Enjoy that. Enjoy how your body's feeling. Okay, lovely. So getting stronger, right? So it drives me nuts. One of the things that drives me nuts that we've got in our heads that we can't do press-ups. All of this movement here is about strengthening all the actions for us to do press as well. Okay, so what we're going to do now is move to dolphin pose and then into a modified plank, okay? So why are we doing this? I need to activate your core, but actually what I'm really concerned for in terms of spine health and where there's weaknesses is the mid to upper back and then the lats. So we've got to think about the big wings on the outside of our shoulders. So firstly, elbows down. So that's your starting point. I've got sway elbows, right? Okay. And then I want you to really think about sticking your tail in the air. So rather than just pushing your bottom backwards, I need you to drop your belly and really push your tush out. Okay. And then from there, we're going to come forward as far as you can, so without actually lying down on the floor. Push back, suck in your belly, and then stick your tail out for a little waggle. Right to left. Pat calls this sexy cat. Then we're going to roll again, as low as you can and still have that stability. And then push back, brace your abdominals, big stretch, and then a little waggle. So we're gonna have we're just gonna play. So remember who your customers are here. From here, I simply want you to turn on your side to look at me. I'm really swayy. Right, and then actually what we're going to do is sit on our bottoms. And then we're gonna turn on the other side, and then we're going to come right the way down into that starting point where we're in that really low modified plank, and then we're going to reverse that. So going back to the essence of Pilates, going back to the essence of why Pilates is adapted into Pilability, I can promise you this: most people as they get older are uncomfortable moving in all directions. If you're on the floor and you've fallen, from the floor and you've fallen, it's knowing that you're comfortable. We favour a side, right? We always do it. Okay, add in that exercise component. So it might be that you just start rolling front side, back side. Just start on that. What if we adapted that so that becomes more of a modified plank, modified side plank, lovely plank, there you go, side. Okay, and then we make that bigger again. So full plank, full side plank, rolling over, hands. Now here's another thing that has come up. Don't worry about where your hands are. Some people are more comfortable due to their postures. Fingers away, fingers in, fingers turned down. I don't care where your hands go. I just want you to move. So it's never, ever about the precision of the movement. It's about just being able to move confidently and competently, and not have all those worrying hormones going off in your mind going, I can't do this, it makes me nervous, okay? I'm not looking like the teacher. It's not about that. It's their movement, their practice. Lovely. Okay, so finishing, I want you to lie on your bottom and roll down. So we're coming into a bridge. Taking out my little hair thingy. Firstly, just squeeze your shoulder blades together. Allow both knees to drop to the right, to the left, feet nice and wide. Okay. So we come up into a bridge, push into your heels, lift your toes, okay? So this helps you to really engage through your buttocks. Come down from the bridge, lift your feet and squeeze. We've seen this type of movement in so many classes over the years, but I want us to think about just that, again, extension. So taking the hips nice and high, extension of the spine, release the spine, contract your core. So use that power in your core to lift your hips, lift your chin if you want to, chin to chest, and just have a little play with this. So this movement is more around the spine changing shape, okay? So again, you can really evolve this movement. I like this one. Okay, well done. Okay, last time. We're transitioning again, we're moving again. We're coming onto our belly. Oh, change my mind. Push back, child's pose. Coming onto our belly, arms out wide, hands together. Each time you do this, so roll forward, belly down, controlled, hands wide, hands closer to your trunk. So each time, when we rise from the movement, you take your hands a little lower, so you'll notice it's your triceps, front delt is starting to come into play, that when we're in the movement, the chest, the trunk is really firing up, okay, in that flow. Can you chuck me a t-shirt so I can mop my sweaty face? Lovely. I can tell you this, it's really hot in this studio today. Well done. Last time. Okay, Right, let's have a little play with our favourite movement. This is the one in all our Pilability classes we get the most amount of feedback from. And again, it is maybe a message of life at the moment, variations of scorpion. So I would suggest we focus on curl toes under heels, squeeze thighs, lift knees. Okay. Thighs come down, lift one leg, pop it down. So there's a bent knee there. Okay, can you see that? So squeeze, thighs down, bend knee, lift. And you can see as I'm lifting, I'm starting to add in a little bit of rotation. So why am I doing this? I need my psoas to fire. And I know in my own physiology that I can feel the stretch on one side and I cannot feel the stretch on the other. Progress this. You know how to progress this. We start to make it wider. We start to rotate further. Take the foot onto the opposite side of the body. Now I'm using my elbows down on the floor, my forehead is towards my stacked hands to increase my stretch here. And now start to work towards touching the floor if you're not already there. Need to have a quick look. Lovely. I'm hoping you really enjoy that. I'm hoping that you're finding that like quite exploratory around how your trunk muscles are feeling. Well done. Okay, and just before we finish, I need you to draw the feet together, rolling onto your back. Just have a little wiggle jiggle left to right again, and then arms overhead. So the soles of the feet connected, knees drop wide, hands overhead. If you can get the elbows on the floor, great. Okay, with this, I want you to take your focus for a moment onto the pelvic floor. I want you to try and just relax it. So consciously and actively try and relax the bladder and the pelvic floor. We would say where there's wind, relax it, not too much. Where there's water. And the reason we're doing this, in Pilates so frequently, we end up tightening the pelvic floor for so long that we end up creating an imbalance simply because we think we're doing the right thing. So as important as it is to tighten the pelvic floor, it's really important to try and relax it. And we would suggest the pre-wee tingle. And at this point in the class, we can't believe that we're talking about this because they'll be like, oh, before relaxation. But it is really important to try and let it go. At the same time, as we're exploring this, our breath is naturally changing. Okay, when you're ready, start to bring your knees together and straighten out your legs, come into a relaxed position. Stay there for a moment so we can look to de-stress. This is the mindfulness of sound. Changing cameras. Oh, when you're there. Mindfulness of sound. Just sit or lie. Be comfortable. Rest your eyes. Sigh. slow your breath. Begin with several calm breaths. Paying attention to each breath. Each breath as it comes in and goes out. Bring your awareness to the sounds all around you. Just listen. What do you hear? What do you feel as you listen? Without analysing, move from one sound to the next. Is it a near sound? Is it a far sound? Does the sound move? Let your ears pick up sounds near and far, all around, in all directions. You don't need to label the sounds. You don't need to seek out more sounds, or even like the sounds. Just listen without analysing. Sometimes you might find your mind latching onto a sound and going down the path of interpretation, thinking that a sound may trigger meaning. You might notice thoughts or feelings arising in response to the sound. You might find yourself judging. It's all yours to listen to. Now those thoughts, your inner voice, do you listen to it? Do you take notice? What is the message within? This is where we can create change. This is where we can set intentions. This is where we can talk to ourselves. Where we are positive. Where we talk down our demons. Where we find our fire, our reason to be, our kindness to ourselves. Where we drive forward. It's that voice, your voice. Your intuition. When you fill your soul by listening to and acting on your intuition, you'll find yourself moving forward for fulfillment of your dreams. Be mindful of how you talk to yourself, because you are listening. Sometimes you've got to be able to listen to yourself and be okay. No one else listening. Listen to your own voice. Trust your own voice. That inner voice is your soul speaking to you. Now gently bring your attention back to you, just as it is, and listen. Take a breath. Activate your ankles and knees, creating some movement. Stretch and roll your wrists. In your own time, roll onto one side. And slowly bring yourself up into a seated position. But take time with this process. From here, we take our feet behind us and sit on our knees. Hands to floor, curl toes. Gently push back into a squat, stretching out through the back of the ankles. Now always remember, when we rise up and come into a standing position, we always pump our heels at the top of the movement, particularly when you've gone into deep meditation. Okay, so from here, with one breath, we rise to a stand, okay? One breath, we take a breath in, we exhale, we power to stand. Rise up at the top of the movement, take a long breath in, arms overhead. Stretch arms out wide into a big circle. Take your arms in front of you and squeeze your shoulder blades together. Rest your hands here. So let's just come into final posture. Okay, so relax your feet, you're in a neutral position. I want you to lift up through your shoulders, roll them back and down. Send your arms behind you and your hands forward. So this happens, okay? So there's a kind of a lift of your chest. Once you've done that, I want you to tuck under your tail. Hold that and push out of your fingers. So let's get that again. Roll those shoulders back, open up the arms like wings, stretch your fingers. The chest will want to lift. And this is when we tuck under the tail. That's really important here, that we hold that and push out the hands as far as you possibly can. Rest your hands to your sides and then give yourselves a round of applause. You're so strong, you're so amazing, you're so wonderful. Well done. Okay.